What if the Library of Alexandria was never destroyed? In the heart of Egypt stood a building so powerful it could have changed the entire future of humankind. A building where the world's knowledge, centuries of science, philosophy, astronomy, and mathematics was gathered in one place. And then it burned. But what if it hadn't? So I ask once again, what if the Library of Alexandria had never been destroyed? Today we take you down a path of history that never happened, but maybe it should have. To understand what we lost, we need to first understand what the Library of Alexandria actually was. And no, it wasn't just a room full of scrolls. Imagine the internet, the Large Hadron Collider, and Harvard University all rolled into one. That's the scale of ambition the library represented. Founded in the 3rd century BCE in Alexandria, Egypt, the library was part of a research institution called the Museum, literally the Temple of the Muses. It was the first of its kind, a global hub for knowledge. Historians estimate it contained between 400,000 to 1 million scrolls representing collective knowledge from ancient Egypt, Greece, India, Mesopotamia, and China, and possibly even other forgotten civilizations. It had entire departments for physics, medicines, astronomy, philosophy, engineering, and literature. And here's the kicker. Scholars were literally paid just to think, to study, to write, to question reality itself. This wasn't just a library. It was the brain of the ancient world. And we didn't just lost the books. We lost momentum. The fire that froze time. The destruction of the library was one of history's greatest tragedies, but strangely, no one knows exactly how or when it happened. Some blame Julius Caesar, whose siege in 48 BCE set fire to parts of Alexandria. Others point to Theophilus, a Christian bishop who led purges to pagan knowledge in the 4th century CE. Still, more blame Muslim conquest in the 7th century. Most historians now believe it wasn't a single event, but a slow eraser. A death by 1,000 cuts. Scrolls lost to politics, religion, war, and neglect. Imagine this. By the time Newton was born in 1642, humanity was reinventing things we had possibly already known. 1,500 years earlier, medicines, robotics, astronomy, geometry, gone. And had the library survived, we might have reached the moon before steam engines were even invented. The timeline we never took. Let's rewrite history. Let's imagine the library actually survived. The city is no longer a faded tourist site. It's a world capital of innovation. The library is now a global university, library and research lab, expanded and digitized over 2,000 years. Here's what might have happened. An early scientific revolution. Without the 1,000-year gap of the Dark Ages, human innovation doesn't pause. Steam power, invented by Hero of Alexandria around 50 AD. With the right environment, industrialization could begin by the 3rd century and not the 18th. Ancient batteries like the Baghdad battery suggest primitive understanding. With continuous development, we could have had electricity by 900 AD. Computers? The Antikythera mechanism, a mechanical computer from the 100 BCE, suggests ancient power were far ahead in analog computing. That means by our real world 2025, we could already be 1000 years into interplanetary travel. Medicine a millennium ahead. The library stored ancient tools, records of treatments, anatomy, even brain surgery. Indian texts like the Sushruta Samhita described complex operations centuries before modern Europe. Imagine, germ theory discovered by 600 AD, vaccines by 9000, DNA sequencing by 1300. We could have cured cancer before we discovered telescope. A truly united world. The library was international. Egyptian, Greek, Indian, Persian, Chinese, African scholars worked side by side. It wasn't just a building. It was a global corporation centuries before the idea of nations existed. In our timeline, world wars broke out over ideology, misunderstanding, and control. In this timeline, shared knowledge means shared identity. Imagine no colonialism, no dark ages, a global language derived by blended culture, philosophies from East and West evolving together, a civilization built on collaboration, not conquest. The butterfly effect. Now let's zoom in. What could change for you personally? You might be living in a floating city designed by principles written on the scrolls 2000 years ago. You would possibly have zero privacy because science would have outpaced ethics. Or perhaps the earth would have already be recovering from its first climate collapse because the warnings came centuries earlier. And here's a twist. Maybe we wouldn't even be humans anymore. Transhumanism, AI consciousness, biological upgrades, they wouldn't be theories. They'd be known. Would that be paradise or dystopia? And here's a deeper question. Does faster progress make us better people? We might have skipped centuries of war and famine, but would we understand empathy? Would we value life? Would we still tell stories? What we can still save. The Library of Alexandria is gone, but its spirit isn't. Today we have something just as powerful. The internet. The largest library ever imagined, and guess what? It's still very much young. But just the library, it's vulnerable to disinformation, to censorship, to decay. So the question becomes, will we protect our library, or will future generations ask, what if the internet had never been destroyed? Because this time, we are writing the timeline ourselves. If the story made you wonder, hit the like button and share it with someone curious. Because this was the timeline we never took. Keep on playing the life simulator and don't forget to follow me on Instagram. Bye for now.